He built an empire washing cars, but one ordinary morning, when he walked in disguised as a poor old man, his own employees laughed at him, called him useless, and tossed his car key into a bucket of dirty water. Marcus Hill wasn't just any man. He was a self-made billionaire who had built his fortune from nothing but soap, sweat, and steel. 20 years ago, he started a small car wash in the corner of Detroit with 2 old machines and a bucket. Today, that same business had grown into a nationwide franchise worth hundreds of millions. But lately, something was wrong. For months, Marcus had noticed that revenue from his original car wash center, the one closest to his heart, had dropped drastically. Customer complaints were rising. Reviews were poor. Slow service, rude staff, never coming back. It broke him. That first car wash was where he started his journey. It wasn't just a business. It was his memory, his roots. So one morning, he decided to find out the truth himself. Quietly, he put on old jeans, a worn-out hoodie, a gray wig, and some dirt on his face. He wanted to look like just another poor man trying to get his dusty car cleaned. He didn't drive one of his Rolls-Royces or Bentleys. He took a regular 2008 Honda Civic, one of the old cars sitting in his garage. When he arrived, he noticed the difference immediately. The place that once buzzed with polite greetings and smiles was now dull and careless. The workers leaned on walls, scrolling through their phones. 2 of them were arguing about who would do the next car. Marcus walked up to the counter and said softly, "Excuse me, could I please get a premium wash?" The young man behind the counter barely looked up. "Cash or card?" he asked, chewing gum loudly. "Cash," Marcus replied. The boy smirked. "Then go outside and wait. Someone might help you." Marcus nodded politely and walked to the washing area. But what he saw next shattered him. Workers throwing water lazily. One whistling, another laughing while splashing soap at a friend. When Marcus tried to ask about the service, one of them, a tall, careless guy named Rick, frowned and said, "Man, can't you see we're busy? You old folks are always impatient." Marcus smiled gently. "I just wanted to know when my car will be ready." Rick looked at his friends and chuckled. "Yo, watch this." He grabbed Marcus's car key, twirled it in the air, and then tossed it straight into a bucket of muddy water. "There," he said mockingly. "You want your car? Go fish it out yourself." Everyone laughed. Marcus stood silent. His eyes reflected calm, but inside a storm was forming. He bent down, reached into the dirty water, and picked up his dripping car key. For a brief second, one worker saw the pain in his eyes, but said nothing. As Marcus walked away, one thought echoed in his mind. This is not the business I built. This is not the family I raised. That night, he made a decision that would change every life in that car wash forever. Marcus couldn't sleep that night. The images of those laughing faces kept replaying in his mind. The arrogance, the disrespect, the way they tossed his key like he was nothing. He sat alone in his mansion's study room, lights dim, staring at the framed photo of his very first car wash, the same one that had just humiliated him. He remembered how he used to stand for hours washing cars himself. Back then, he'd tell every new worker, "We don't wash cars here, son. We clean pride. We give people back their shine." Now, that spirit was gone. At dawn, he called his secretary, Olivia. "Cancel all my meetings," he said coldly. "I'm going back to the car wash today, as Marcus Hill, the owner." Olivia hesitated. "Sir, should I inform the manager to prepare?" Marcus's voice hardened. "No, not a word. I want to see their true faces." By noon, a black Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up outside the car wash. Its engine purred like royalty. The same workers who laughed yesterday now stared in confusion. A billionaire had just arrived, and they had no idea it was the same old man they mocked. Marcus stepped out, wearing a sharp charcoal suit, gold cufflinks, and dark shades. He walked with the quiet authority of a king entering his fallen kingdom. The manager, a man named Frank, rushed forward, forcing a smile. "Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to Shine Pro Car Wash. How can we serve you today?" Marcus glanced around. The same careless staff, the same lazy air. "Is the owner here?" he asked calmly. Frank chuckled nervously. No, sir. The owner rarely visits, but I'm the manager. Everything's under control." "Is it?" Marcus said softly. "Because from what I see, things are far from under control." The workers exchanged glances. Something about this man's tone felt unsettling. Marcus walked slowly to the washing area, right where his key had been thrown yesterday. He stopped, staring at the same bucket of water, now replaced. He turned to Rick, the worker who had mocked him the day before. "You," he said. "Do you treat all customers like yesterday?" Rick frowned. "Excuse me, sir? What do you mean? Marcus took off his sunglasses. For the first time, Rick saw those same eyes. The ones from yesterday. Recognition flashed across his face and his heart dropped. You remember me now? Marcus said quietly. Rick's face went pale. Wait. You were that… Yes, Marcus interrupted. That old man you laughed at. The one whose key you threw into dirty water. The entire staff froze. Even the manager's forced smile vanished. Marcus's voice rose, steady but filled with pain. I built this place with my own hands. Every tile, every brush, every drop of soap. I earned it. And now my own people mock customers? Treat them like trash? He turned to Frank. Is this your idea of management? Frank stuttered. Sir, I didn't know… That's the problem, Marcus snapped. You don't know. You don't care. You forgot the values that built this brand. The silence was heavy. Even the sound of cars passing outside seemed to fade. Marcus looked at them one last time. Tomorrow morning, every one of you will be here at 8 a.m. sharp. I'm taking back control of my business, and some of you might not have a place here anymore. He walked back to his Rolls-Royce, doors closing softly behind him. As the car drove away, every worker stood frozen, haunted by the realization. The man they had insulted was their billionaire boss. And tomorrow Judgment Day was coming. The next morning, the air at Shine Pro Car Wash was heavy with fear. Nobody laughed. Nobody leaned on the walls. The music that usually played through a speaker was off. Every worker stood silently, waiting. At exactly 8:20 a.m., a black Rolls-Royce once again glided into the lot. Marcus Hill stepped out, not in his expensive suit this time, but in a simple blue shirt, rolled sleeves and a sharp, observing gaze. Good, he said, glancing at his watch. At least everyone's on time. That's a start. The manager, Frank, stepped forward nervously.
Sir, I've already spoken to the staff.
It won't happen again. I can assure… Marcus raised a hand. I don't want promises, Frank. I want proof. He looked around at the group, about 10 workers in total, and continued. You see, a business doesn't fail because of competition. It fails because of complacency. Somewhere along the way, you all stopped caring. Today, I'm going to find out who still deserves to wear this logo. The staff exchanged worried looks. Marcus gestured toward 3 cars that had just arrived. A dusty pickup, a family minivan, and an old sedan. You'll each serve a customer. Today, like it's your last day on Earth, every smile, every effort, every detail counts. I'll be watching. Then he added quietly, and one of these customers works for me. A murmur spread. No one knew which one it was, and that uncertainty made every second feel like a test. The first customer, an elderly woman, stepped out of her minivan, struggling with her purse. Rick, the same worker who had insulted Marcus, rushed to help her. He opened her door, greeted her politely, and even carried her grocery bags to the waiting area. Marcus watched from a distance, arms folded. Rick's behavior was completely different now. Fear had changed him. But was it genuine remorse or survival instinct? Marcus couldn't tell yet. Meanwhile, another worker, Jordan, carefully washed the pickup truck, double-checking every corner. He didn't look up, didn't chat, just worked silently with precision. Marcus noted him quietly in his mind. But then, his eyes caught something else. The youngest worker, a quiet girl named Maya, was helping a customer clean the inside of their car. Even though it wasn't part of her assigned task, she smiled gently, joked with the customer's kid, and didn't even notice Marcus watching. Marcus's gaze softened. That's how I used to work, he thought. Not for money, for pride. After 2 hours, the cars gleamed under the sunlight. The customers left smiling. Marcus called everyone together. You all did better today, he said. But tell me, why now? Why only when I'm watching? Silence. Rick stepped forward, voice shaky. Sir, I was wrong yesterday. I forgot what this place means. I let my ego get in the way. Marcus studied him, then turned to the rest. This business isn't just about soap and water. It's about dignity, for both customer and worker. I started here when I had nothing. Some of you are acting like you're too good for this job. He paused, letting his words sink in. Then, to everyone's surprise, he said, starting tomorrow, this place will be run differently. New rules, new leadership, and one of you will be the new manager. The crowd gasped. Marcus smiled faintly. You've got 1 day to prove who deserves it. He turned to leave. But before stepping into his car, he looked back and said, don't just wash cars. Wash your attitude. As his car drove away, every worker stood speechless. For the first time, they weren't scared. They were inspired, but none of them knew. Marcus already had someone in mind for that manager position. And it wasn't who they expected. That night, Marcus sat in his study again, sipping black coffee as the city lights shimmered through the glass wall. On his desk lay the names of every employee at the car wash, their roles, their performance history, their pay slips. He went through each one carefully. Rick, lazy but skilled. Jordan, consistent, quiet, dependable. Maya, lowest paid, never late, no complaints ever filed. Marcus leaned back in his chair, smiling faintly. Maya, he thought. You work like the world is watching, even when it isn't. He picked up his phone and called Olivia, his trusted secretary. Olivia, tomorrow send someone undercover. I want a report on how they treat every new customer. No cameras, no warnings. Olivia replied, Understood, sir. You're planning another surprise? Marcus smiled. No, Olivia. I'm planning a lesson. The next morning, the air at ShinePro was different. The staff had spent the night talking about the owner's words. Some were nervous, others were motivated, but everyone wanted to prove themselves. At 10 a.m., a beat-up old Toyota pulled in. The driver, a middle-aged woman wearing simple clothes and tired eyes, got out, holding a small envelope. She looked unsure, hesitant. Excuse me, she said softly. Can someone tell me how much for a basic wash? Rick was standing nearest. For a moment, his old arrogance almost returned. Wait, but then he remembered. Marcus's eyes from the day before. He quickly straightened up. Ma'am, it's $50 for basic, but today we're giving free air freshener with every wash. You can wait inside. I'll handle your car personally. The woman smiled gratefully. Thank you, son. Meanwhile, Maya noticed the woman drop her envelope near the waiting area. She picked it up and saw it had cash inside. A lot of it. She ran after her immediately. Ma'am, you dropped this! The woman's eyes widened. Oh my God. That's my rent money. Bless you, child. Maya smiled shyly. Just doing what's right. Hidden behind tinted glass across the street, Marcus watched everything unfold from his parked Rolls-Royce. Beside him, Olivia was taking notes. Seems like your instincts were right, she whispered. Marcus nodded slowly. Rick's trying, but Maya didn't even hesitate. Integrity can't be taught. It's either in your blood or it isn't. 2 hours later, Marcus entered the car wash once again, unannounced. The workers immediately stood straight. He walked to the waiting area and faced Maya. How long have you been working here? 2 years, sir, she said nervously. Started part-time, then full-time last year. And how much do you earn? $400 a week, sir. Marcus frowned. For the amount of heart you put into this job, that's a robbery. The others glanced at each other. Rick lowered his eyes, ashamed. Then Marcus turned toward everyone. I sent a customer here today, a test. Some of you passed, some of you pretended. But one person here showed honesty without even knowing anyone was watching. He looked at Maya. That person is you. Her eyes widened. Me? Marcus smiled. Starting today, you're the new shift manager, and your salary's doubled. Gasps echoed around the garage. Rick clapped first, awkwardly but genuinely. The others followed. Maya's eyes welled up. Thank you, sir. I don't know what to say. Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. Say nothing. Just keep being the person you already are. He turned to the team. You all saw what honesty looks like. Remember this. Success doesn't come from who washes faster, but from who works cleaner, inside and out. As Marcus walked away, Maya stood still, overwhelmed, holding back tears. For the first time in months, ShinePro Car Wash felt alive again. Not because a billionaire was watching, but because someone had finally remembered why it all began. For the next few days, ShinePro Car Wash began to change. Customers were greeted with smiles. Cars were cleaned faster, better, and more carefully. The air smelled of new soap and second chances. Maya, the new shift manager, was everywhere, checking pressure hoses, greeting customers, helping new staff, even taking out trash herself. She wasn't bossy. She led by example. Marcus watched quietly from a distance, visiting the shop every other day, never announcing when. He liked to see things raw, real, unfiltered. And what he saw filled him with pride. But not everything was perfect. Something still didn't add up. Despite the improved customer flow, the income reports that arrived at Marcus's office still showed declining profits. The cash register totals didn't match the crowd he saw with his own eyes. Marcus narrowed his eyes. Frank, he whispered to himself, thinking of the manager. Let's see what you've been hiding. That evening, Marcus called Olivia. Olivia, I want every transaction record from that branch for the past 6 months. And I want surveillance footage pulled from the office cameras. Right away, sir, she replied. By midnight, the truth sat before him, in numbers and images that made his blood boil. Frank had been skimming money from daily earnings. he'd been underreporting revenue, pocketing the rest through fake maintenance costs and supplier invoices, thousands of dollars every week. Marcus slammed his hand on the desk. All this time, it wasn't the workers. It was the man I trusted to lead them. He felt the weight of betrayal in his chest. Frank had been with him for almost a decade. One of the earliest hires when ShinePro began expanding. Marcus had given him everything: respect, trust, and a life-changing salary. And in return, Frank had stolen from the very business that fed him. The next morning, Marcus arrived early, before anyone else. He stood inside the manager's office holding the fake receipts. When Frank walked in, whistling casually, he froze at the sight of Marcus sitting in his chair. "Good morning," Marcus said coldly. Sir, I didn't expect you so early," Frank stammered. "I know," Marcus replied, sliding the receipts across the table. "That's why I came." Frank's eyes darted to the papers. His face drained of color. "Care to explain these?" Marcus asked, his voice calm but dangerous. Frank tried to speak. "Sir, those are just bookkeeping errors. I was going to fix—" "Stop lying," Marcus cut him off. "I built this business on honesty, and you've been bleeding it dry from the inside." "How long, Frank? How long have you been stealing from me?" Frank dropped his gaze. "A few months. I was struggling, sir. My son's college, the bills. I didn't mean for it to go this far." Marcus stared at him silently for a long moment. Then he said, "You didn't steal because you needed to. You stole because you thought you could get away with it." He stood up. "You're done here." Frank's eyes widened. "Please, sir." "I can make it right." Marcus pointed to the door. "The only thing you can make right is your exit." As security escorted Frank out, the rest of the staff watched in silence. Maya's eyes widened as she realized what was happening. Marcus turned to them and said firmly, "If a business rots, it's never from the bottom. It's from the top. The wrong man was leading you, Wam, but not anymore." He looked at Maya. "You'll report directly to me now. No middlemen." She nodded, still processing the shock. Marcus walked out slowly, his expression unreadable. The betrayal stung. But deep inside, he felt a strange peace. The infection had been cut out. And now, for the first time in years, his business could finally breathe again. But destiny wasn't done testing him yet. A twist was coming. One that would hit Marcus where it hurt most. The next morning, Marcus arrived early again. The sun was still rising, casting gold over the damp asphalt of the car wash. Workers were setting up, filling buckets, adjusting hoses, joking lightly. For the first time in months, the place felt alive, hopeful. But Maya looked distant. She worked quietly, her eyes carrying something heavy. Marcus noticed it. "Maya," he said softly, approaching her. "You look troubled." "Something wrong?" She hesitated. "No, sir. Just tired. Been helping my mom lately. She hasn't been well." Marcus nodded gently. "Family first always. What does she do?" Maya smiled faintly. "She used to work here, actually, years ago, when the business was smaller." Marcus blinked, confused. "Here?" "Yes, sir. Before I joined. She always said this place changed her life. The old owner helped her when no one else did." Marcus frowned slightly. "What was her name?" Maya hesitated. Grace Coleman." The name hit Marcus like a jolt. He froze, eyes widening. Grace Coleman. The woman who had once helped him when he was still a broke man washing cars alone. He remembered that day vividly. It was pouring rain, and Grace, a single mother, had brought him food when he hadn't eaten all day. She'd worked at the car wash briefly. And when her daughter was born, Marcus had promised her something. He had said, "Someday when this place becomes something, I'll make sure your little girl never struggles." And now that little girl was standing right in front of him. Marcus took a step back, heart pounding. "Maya, your mother, how is she now?" "She's in and out of the hospital," Maya said quietly. "The bills are hard. I've been working extra shifts trying to cover everything." Marcus swallowed hard, guilt washing over him. "All these years, and I forgot my promise." He excused himself and went to his car, pulling out his phone. "Olivia," he said, voice low, "find me everything on a woman named Grace Coleman. Medical records, address, everything. And don't let her or Maya know." Within hours, the reports were on his desk. Grace was suffering from a severe kidney condition. Medical debt had buried her. The hospital had sent notices. Marcus sat silently, staring at the papers. He felt a weight in his chest. Not as a billionaire, not as a boss, but as a man who had broken a promise. He picked up the phone again. "Olivia, call the hospital. Clear every one of Grace Coleman's bills immediately. Tell them she's under my foundation's care now." "Yes, sir," Olivia replied softly. The next day, Marcus visited the hospital quietly. Grace was asleep, pale but peaceful. Her face had aged, yet her kindness still showed. He stood beside her bed, whispering, "Grace, I'm sorry I forgot, but I'll make it right. You once fed me when I was starving. Now let me return the favor." As he left, he noticed Maya entering the room from the hallway, but he didn't let her see him. He wanted to keep the secret a little longer, because soon she would know the truth, not just about her mother's bills, but about who Marcus really was to her family, and that revelation would change both of their lives forever. It was a bright Saturday morning, when Maya received a phone call that made her stop mid-step at the car wash. "Miss Coleman," said the voice from the hospital, "we wanted to inform you that your mother's medical bills have been fully paid." Maya blinked, stunned. "Paid? By who?" "There's no name listed," the nurse said. "Just an anonymous donor from the Hill Foundation. Your mother's treatment has been approved for the next 6 months, completely covered." Maya's hand trembled. I don't understand." She hung up, her mind spinning. The Hill Foundation, wasn't that the same name printed on the side of Marcus's charity vehicles? Her eyes lifted instinctively toward the office window, where Marcus was sitting, signing papers. Could it be him? That evening, when the rush slowed down, Maya knocked on Marcus's office door. "Come in," he said without looking up. "Sir," she began softly, "did you do something for my mother?" Marcus slowly lifted his eyes. There was no surprise in his expression, just a quiet calm. "Why do you ask?" "The hospital called," Maya said. "They said her bills are cleared. The name they mentioned, the Hill Foundation. That's your foundation, isn't it?" Marcus leaned back in his chair, folding his hands. "Your mother once helped me when I had nothing. She gave me food when I couldn't afford a meal. I made her a promise long ago, that if I ever made it, I'd take care of her. I just kept my word." Maya's eyes filled with tears. She used to talk about a young man she worked with years ago. Said he was kind, hardworking, and had big dreams. She said his name was Marcus. Marcus smiled faintly. "Seems she remembered me better than I remembered my own promise. But I'm glad I found her again. Through you." Maya's voice cracked. "You didn't have to do that, sir. You've already done so much for me." "I didn't do it out of obligation," Marcus said gently. "I did it because she believed in me before the world did. And now I see that same fire in you." He stood up, walking to the window, watching the workers below. "You remind me of why I started this business, Maya. It wasn't about wealth. It was about people." Tears rolled down Maya's cheeks. "Thank you, Mr. Hill. I don't know how to ever repay you." Marcus turned back, smiling warmly. "You already have, by working with honesty when no one was watching." Over the next few days, word spread quietly among the staff. Everyone noticed the newfound respect Marcus had for Maya, though neither of them spoke about what had happened. But something in the air had changed. The workers weren't just working for money anymore. They were working for pride, just like Marcus used to. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the sky turned orange, Marcus called the entire team together. "Everyone," he said, "starting next week, ShinePro will reopen under a new motto: clean cars, clear hearts. Every worker here will get a raise. We'll introduce health insurance and performance bonuses. No one here should ever feel unvalued again." The team broke into applause. Even Rick, who once mocked Marcus, clapped with tears in his eyes. Maya stood at the back watching quietly. Her heart swelled, not just with gratitude but with something deeper. For the first time, she wasn't just an employee. She was part of something bigger, something built on kindness, second chances, and redemption. But just when peace seemed to return, an unexpected visitor arrived the next morning, holding a letter that would shake Marcus's world again. It was early Monday morning. The sun had barely risen when a gray sedan stopped outside ShinePro Car Wash. A man in a formal black suit stepped out, carrying a sealed brown envelope. Maya was the first to notice. "Sir, someone's here asking for you," she told Marcus, who was reviewing some files in the office. Marcus glanced up. "For me?" "Yes, says it's urgent." Marcus stood and walked outside. The man straightened his tie. "Mr. Marcus Hill?" "Yes. I'm from the legal department of Harrison and Bloom. I was instructed to deliver this personally." He handed over the envelope, nodded respectfully, and left without another word. The entire staff exchanged curious looks. Marcus's expression was unreadable as he tore it open. Inside was a single sheet, typed, official, heavy with words that froze him in place. Notice of pending lawsuit. ShinePro Holdings is being investigated for financial misconduct within its management chain. A whistleblower has come forward with evidence of falsified tax reports and employee misallocation funds. Marcus's hand trembled slightly. His first thought, Frank. Could the disgraced manager be behind this? A final act of revenge? He read the rest quickly. The letter mentioned that certain branches under his name had discrepancies in their records, though the main car wash wasn't directly blamed yet. Still, his reputation, his empire, everything was at stake. Maya noticed his face pale. Sir, what is it? Marcus took a deep breath. It seems my past mistakes are catching up. He went back to his office, shut the door, and sat down heavily. Memories flashed. The countless branches he'd built. The partners he'd trusted. The paperwork he'd signed without question. Could others have been stealing from him? Just like Frank? He picked up the phone and called Olivia. Get me the internal audit reports for every branch under Shine Pro. Now. Olivia's voice was tense. Sir, is everything all right? No, Marcus replied quietly. Someone's trying to destroy what I've built, and I need to know who. That evening, Maya knocked gently on the door. Sir, you haven't eaten. The team's worried. Marcus looked up from the mountain of files. I'm fine, Maya. You've been here since morning, she said softly. Whatever's happening, you don't have to face it alone. He sighed. This business was my family before I had one. Every employee, every branch, they're part of my story. But somewhere along the way, I trusted the wrong people. And now one of them wants to see me fall. Maya stepped closer. You taught us something, sir, that honesty wins in the end. So whoever's doing this, they won't win. You'll find the truth. Marcus looked up, eyes softening. You sound like your mother. Maya smiled faintly. She always believed truth doesn't hide forever. Marcus nodded. Then maybe it's time to prove her right. The next day, the investigation began internally. Olivia's report arrived. Shocking and clear. 2 other regional managers had also been manipulating funds. And guess who they'd been coordinating with? Frank. Marcus clenched his jaw. So it was revenge after all. He stood up, determination blazing in his eyes. They tried to stain my name. Now they'll see who Marcus Hill really is. Maya watched silently as Marcus walked out. Shoulders squared, his calm turning into fire. She had seen the gentle side of him. But now, she was about to witness the warrior that built an empire from soap and water. And for the first time, she feared what that fire might do next. The morning felt heavier than usual. Clouds hung low over the city, mirroring the storm brewing inside Marcus. Hill, he drove himself to the downtown branch, the one Frank used to manage. It was quieter now, almost deserted. But Marcus wasn't here for nostalgia. He was here for truth. Inside the office sat 2 regional managers, Brian and Cole, both looking uneasy. They'd been summoned by Marcus personally. Frank was already there, sitting smugly in a corner, his arms crossed. Gentlemen, Marcus began, his tone calm but razor-sharp. You know why you're here. Frank smirked. Finally decided to face the music, huh, boss? Marcus's jaw tightened. The music? You mean the symphony of lies you've been composing behind my back? Brian shifted uncomfortably. Cole avoided eye contact. Marcus tossed a stack of documents on the table. Olivia's audit reports. These show transfers, fake maintenance bills, bonus requests, all under your names. Hundreds of thousands siphoned off over 2 years. And Frank, you were the ringleader. Frank laughed, a bitter sound. Ringleader? You fired me like trash, Marcus. After everything I gave this place. You didn't even listen to me. You stole from me, Marcus said coldly. You made the others corrupt. I made them real, Frank snapped. You built your empire pretending to care about the workers, but you only cared about your reputation. So I hit you where it hurts. Marcus leaned forward, voice low and cutting. You didn't hurt me. Frank, you hurt the people who believed in this business. The honest ones. The ones who still work here because they trust what this company stands for. Frank's smirk faded slightly, but his pride didn't let him back down. You'll lose everything, Marcus. The lawsuit, the bad press, it'll all eat you alive. And when it does, I'll be there to watch. Marcus's calm cracked for just a second. He slammed his hand on the table, startling everyone. I built Shine Pro from nothing. When you joined, I treated you like a brother. Gave you a chance. Gave you respect. And this is what you do? You betray every hand that fed you? For the first time, silence filled the room. Brian looked at the floor. Frank told us you wouldn't notice. He said everyone was doing it. I was stupid enough to believe him. Cole nodded weakly. We just followed his lead. Marcus turned to them, disappointed but composed. You'll both cooperate with the audit. If you tell the truth, you'll get a chance to make it right. But if you lie again, he paused, eyes narrowing. You'll face the full weight of the law. Then he looked at Frank one last time. You wanted to see me fall? Watch carefully, and because I don't fall, I rebuild. Stronger than before. Frank clenched his fists, his voice breaking. You think you're better than me, Marcus? You're nothing without us. Marcus's expression softened, but his words cut deep. I don't need people who destroy what I create. I need people who believe in it. He turned to leave, then stopped at the door. I'm not pressing charges against you, Frank, but from this moment, you're done in this industry. Every car wash owner in this state will know your name and what you did. Frank's face went pale. You can't do that. Marcus looked back. Watch me. That evening, back at the main branch, Marcus stood outside as the last customers left. The lights reflected in the wet concrete, the hum of machines fading to silence. Maya approached quietly. It's over? Marcus nodded. Almost. The truth is out. But it cost me trust, and time I'll never get back. She smiled softly. Sometimes you lose what's broken to make space for what's real. Marcus looked at her, really looked at her. And for the first time in days, he smiled. You know something, Maya? You remind me of why I started all this. To build something honest. She met his gaze. And you did. You just needed to see it again. Marcus nodded slowly. Maybe you're right. But deep down he knew the storm wasn't over. The lawsuit was still hanging above him. And tomorrow, he'd find out who was really behind it all. The next morning, the atmosphere in ShinePro's headquarters was tense. Marcus sat behind his desk, staring at the legal papers that lay open in front of him. His company's fate depended on what would happen today. Olivia entered quietly, holding another envelope. Sir, this just came in. It's from the attorney representing the whistleblower. Marcus frowned. Another notice? No, sir, it's a personal statement. Marcus took the envelope, slid it open, and pulled out a folded letter. He began to read, and with every line his heartbeat grew louder. Mr. Hill, I am the one who initiated the investigation. I did not do it to destroy you, but to protect what you built. My mother worked under your company years ago. She used to tell me that you were one of the few employers who treated her with dignity and respect when no one else would. But after she passed away, I saw people tarnishing the company she admired, stealing, lying, and exploiting workers. I had to act. Sincerely, Maya Thompson. Marcus froze. The letter slipped from his hand. Maya, his own employee. A flood of emotions hit him. Disbelief, confusion, pride, betrayal, all tangled into one. He stood up, walked out of his office, and found her near the service bay, scrubbing the hood of a car with her sleeves rolled up like always. Maya, he called softly. She looked up, startled. Sir, you okay? He held the letter up. You wrote this? Her face fell. The silence between them was heavy. I had to, she whispered. I saw what was happening in the branches. I knew you didn't deserve it, but the company did. It needed to be clean again. Marcus stepped closer, his expression unreadable. You risked everything. For this? Maya nodded. My mother always said truth needs courage. I couldn't stand by and watch ShinePro crumble, not when it gave her so much hope. He looked at her deeply, his voice breaking slightly. Your mother was Angela Thompson? Maya blinked in surprise. You knew her? Marcus smiled faintly. She worked for me when I first started this business. I'll never forget her. She was honest, hardworking, and kind. He paused, emotion rising in his chest. I didn't know she had a daughter. Maya looked down. She passed when I was 16. I wanted to make her proud. Marcus took a long breath. You already have. By evening, the air in ShinePro felt different. The weight had lifted. The lawsuit was withdrawn after full cooperation, and the authorities cleared Marcus of any wrongdoing. The whistleblower's evidence, Maya's evidence, became the foundation for a complete restructuring of the company. Marcus stood in front of all his employees, addressing them with a steady voice. We lost sight of what ShinePro meant, but because of one brave woman, we found it again. He gestured toward Maya. The room erupted in applause. Maya blushed, her eyes glistening. Marcus continued. From this day forward, I want ShinePro to stand for something bigger than business. We'll launch a new program, Angela's Promise, to support education and job opportunities for single mothers and struggling families. This is how we honor the people who made this dream possible. The crowd cheered again. Maya stepped forward, voice trembling. Thank you, sir. My mom would have loved this. Marcus smiled. I think she already does. That night, as the lights dimmed and the machines hummed softly, Marcus stood outside watching the reflection of the neon. ShinePro's sign ripple in a puddle. He thought of the journey, from betrayal and loss to truth and renewal. And beside him, Maya stood silently, watching the same light. Sometimes, he realized, It takes the courage of one ordinary person to remind you what greatness really means. He looked at her and said quietly, "Your mother built this place's heart. You brought it back to life." Maya smiled through her tears, "And you never stopped believing in it." As the last car rolled out and the night fell quiet, ShinePro wasn't just a car wash anymore. It was a symbol of honesty, redemption, and legacy.